Human analysis is not about reading minds. It is about spotting the predator before they strike. Right now, someone you trust is betraying you. They smile, they nod, but their eyes twitch for a fraction of a second, a micro-expression of contempt. For instance, when your partner says, "I was just working late," but their shoulder shrugs only on the left side, that is a physiological leak. That is a lie. You are walking through a minefield blindfolded. This book rips the blindfold off. Every conversation is a battlefield. Are you the player or are you the prey?
It's getting late, but their voice cracks slightly on the last word. You might miss it if you aren't looking. But before you can spot the crack, you must know what the solid wall looks like. This brings us to the first and most critical rule of human analysis, the baseline protocol. In the world of deception detection, context is everything. You cannot identify an anomaly if you have not established the standard. A baseline is simply a catalog of a person's behavior when they are under no stress, telling the truth and feeling safe. It is their default setting. To establish this, you must engage in norming. This requires a period of observation before the critical conversation occurs. Sit with the subject. Observe their relaxed state. How do they breathe? Is it shallow from the chest or deep from the diaphragm? When they recount a simple, truthful memory, like what they had for breakfast, where do their eyes move? Let's apply this with a concrete example. Imagine you suspect an employee of stealing sensitive client data. Do not start with the accusation. Start with the weather or a neutral topic. Ask, "Did you see that storm last weekend?" Watch them closely. Perhaps when they talk about the rain, their hands are loose, palms open on the table, and they smile symmetrically. They maintain steady eye contact. This is their baseline. Open, relaxed, symmetrical. Now introduce the stimulus. You say, "We have noticed some unusual activity on the server logs regarding the client list." If those open palms suddenly clench into fists, or if they cross their chest to hide their chest, you have witnessed a baseline deviation. This physiological shift is the body preparing for a threat. It is the fight or flight response kicking in before their brain can formulate a verbal lie. Without the baseline of the open palms, the crossed arms might just look like a comfortable posture. With the baseline, it is a scream of discomfort. Many amateurs fail because they mistake nervousness for deception. You must separate their personality from their reaction to pressure. In the world of deception, the eyes are not just observers, they are broadcasters. While the mouth can lie and the face can form a mask, the autonomic nervous system governs the eyes, making them incredibly difficult to control consciously. This phenomenon is known as the ocular betrayal. First, observe the pupils. Biologically, pupil dilation, or mydriasis, occurs when the sympathetic nervous system triggers a fight or flight response. It is an immediate reaction to adrenaline. In a low-stakes conversation, pupils adjust to light. In a high-stakes interrogation, they adjust to fear or arousal. Consider a negotiation scenario. You state your final price. If the other person says, "That's too high," but their pupils dilate significantly, their brain is signaling excitement or stress, contradicting their verbal rejection. They want the deal, or they are terrified of losing it. Next, analyze the blink rate. A relaxed human blinks roughly 6 to 10 times per minute. This clears the cornea and resets the visual cortex. However, under cognitive load, the mental effort required to construct a lie, this rate changes drastically.
It often manifests as a suppression of blinking during the lie, followed by a rapid recovery flurry immediately after. For instance, if you ask a colleague, "Did you authorize this transfer?" and they stare unblinkingly while saying no, then immediately blink 5 times in rapid succession once they stop speaking, that is a leakage of repressed anxiety. Finally, look for eye blocking. This is an evolutionary survival mechanism. When we see something threatening or hear something we wish to deny, we instinctively cover our eyes, rub them, or close them for a fraction of a second too long. If you confront a friend with, "I know you were at the party," and they rub their eyelid before responding, "I wasn't," they are subconsciously trying to wipe away the visual reality of your accusation. These are not random movements, they are the desperate attempts of the brain to hide the truth. Stop. Before we decode the dilation patterns, choose. If you want to weaponize your perception and expose the truth, subscribe now. If you prefer the comfort of ignorance, scroll away. The next technique requires total psychological commitment. Stop. Before we decode the dilation patterns, choose. If you want to weaponize your perception and expose the truth, subscribe now. If you prefer the comfort of ignorance, scroll away. The next technique requires total psychological commitment. Now, observe the pupil, the black void in the center of the iris. Unlike a smile, which takes conscious effort to fake, pupil size is dictated by the autonomic nervous system. This is a biological mechanism that predates language. When the human brain processes intense emotion or high cognitive load, the sympathetic nervous system activates, causing the pupils to expand or dilate. This is hardwired. It cannot be suppressed by sheer will. Consider this concrete scenario. You are in a high-stakes negotiation. You slide a contract across the table that contains a clause you know is controversial. The person across from you smiles politely, nods, and says, "This looks acceptable. Let me just review the details." Ignore the mouth. Ignore the nod. Look immediately at the center of their eyes. If their pupils instantly constrict into pinpoints despite the ambient lighting remaining constant, you are witnessing the snake eyes effect. This constriction is a primal physiological response to revulsion, anger, or threat. Their polite words are a socially constructed mask, but their biology is screaming rejection. They feel threatened by your offer, and they are preparing to fight it, regardless of their calm tone. Conversely, let us analyze the anatomy of a lie through expansion. Lying is cognitively expensive. The brain must suppress the truth and construct a fabrication simultaneously. Imagine you ask your partner, "Where were you last night?" If they maintain steady eye contact, but their pupils suddenly dilate, their brain is surging with cognitive effort. They are not remembering, they are inventing. Unless you are in a dark room or they are physically attracted to you, that sudden expansion is the brain burning glucose to weave a deception. This happens in less than a fifth of a second. To the untrained eye, it is invisible. To you, it is a neon sign, flashing "Deception detected." Close your eyes. We are leaving the realm of the visual. The face is a practiced liar. It is trained to smile when angry. It remains stoic when panicked. But the voice is a vibration driven by the autonomic nervous system. It is the raw frequency of the soul, and it is much harder to discipline. Welcome to Deep Dive 2, the auditory leak. When a person constructs a lie, the brain enters a state of high cognitive load. Simultaneously, the fight or flight response tightens the laryngeal muscles. This physical constriction forces the pitch upward. It is simple physics. Tighter strings produce higher notes. Imagine you are in a high-stakes negotiation. You state your terms and ask, "Is this your best offer?" Listen to their baseline before this moment. If they answer, "Yes, it is," but the pitch cracks or rises half an octave above their normal speaking voice, their vocal cords are betraying their anxiety. They have room to move, but their fear is constricting their throat. Next, detect the tactical throat clear. This is not a physical irritation, it is a psychological delay mechanism. We call this the auditory eraser. For instance, you confront a partner. Who was texting you at midnight? Watch the sequence. Silence. Ahem. Just a friend. That clearing of the throat is the sound of them scrubbing their conscience. They are stalling, preparing the vocal apparatus to force a falsehood through a tightened throat. Finally, analyze the echo stall and verbal fillers. Truth is retrieved instantly from memory. It flows like water. Lies must be built brick by brick. This construction takes processing power. To buy time, the liar repeats your question or inserts non-words. You ask, "Did you authorize the transfer?" They respond, "Did I authorize the transfer? No." By echoing your words and using fillers like or they gain 3 vital seconds to construct a plausible denial. An honest person simply says no. Truth cuts clean. Lies clutter the air. Stop watching the show. Start listening to the static. Welcome to the architecture of anxiety, the limbic pacifier. While the neocortex, the lying brain, constructs a fabrication, the limbic brain is brutally honest. It cannot process a lie without leaking distress. When the internal pressure rises, the body demands comfort. It seeks to soothe itself, replicating the touch of a mother or a protector. This happens in milliseconds, often unnoticed by the untrained eye. Focus your attention on the neck. This is the suprasternal notch, the hollow at the base of the throat. It is the most vulnerable point of human anatomy. When a person feels threatened or doubts their own words, they will instinctively cover or touch this area. For instance, during a salary negotiation, you ask, "Is this your absolute best offer?" Watch them carefully. If they reply, "Yes, absolutely," but their index finger drifts up to touch that hollow in their neck, the gesture betrays the voice. They have more to give. They are comforting themselves against the fear of conflict. Next, observe the legs. We call this leg cleansing. A seated person places their palms on their thighs and slides them forward towards the knees. To the amateur, it looks like drying sweaty palms. To the analyst, it is the brain preparing the body to run. Consider an interrogation scenario. You ask, "Did you authorize the transfer?" The subject says, "I have no knowledge of that," but simultaneously their hands scrub down their thighs. The limbic system is screaming escape, while the mouth feigns ignorance. Finally, look for the ventilator effect. When stress hormones spike, body temperature rises. A man might hook his finger inside his shirt collar and pull it away from his neck. He isn't just hot, he is suffocating under the weight of his own deception. If you press a suspect on a timeline discrepancy and they pull their collar while saying, "I already told you everything," press harder. They are overheating. The pacifier is the proof of the pressure. Replicating the lie. Yet relying on a single gesture is the amateur's trap. A neck scratch might simply be an itch. You must build the bridge between the trigger and the reaction. This requires identifying a cluster, 3 distinct signals occurring simultaneously or sequentially. For instance, you ask, "Did you take the file?" If they simply blink fast, ignore it. But if they rub their neck, shift their feet towards the door, and delay their answer before saying, "No, why would I?" you have a cluster. The body is fighting the mind. Isolated signs are noise. Clusters are the signal. Connect the dots instantly, or you will misread the map entirely. For instance, consider a high-stakes negotiation where the stakes are life-altering. You look the counterpart in the eyes and ask a calibrated question. Are there any undisclosed liabilities in this deal? Watch carefully. If the subject answers no, but immediately touches the suprasternal notch at the base of their neck, they are self-soothing. This is a red flag, but not yet proof. Now, look for the second signal in the cluster. Do they blink rapidly, more than the average 10 to 15 times a minute? That is cognitive load. Their brain is working overtime to construct a fabrication. Finally, look for the anchor point shift. Do they uncross their legs and point their feet toward the exit? That is the limbic brain screaming for flight. This triad, the neck touch, the rapid blinking, and the foot shift, is your cluster. You have built the bridge between the trigger and the truth. As the architect of truth, you do not react with anger, you react with strategy. You lean in and say, "I get the feeling there is something troubling you about the liabilities. Let's clear the air so we can move forward safely." By labeling the emotion, you disarm the lie without accusing the liar. This methodology is your ultimate defense mechanism. We live in a world designed to manufacture consent and manipulate perception. When a salesperson uses the scarcity principle by telling you, "I have another buyer waiting outside," you will no longer feel the artificial pressure. You will look at their baseline. Is their smile symmetrical? Does it engage the orbicularis oculi muscles around the eyes? If the smile is only on the mouth, it is a mask. You will recognize the tactic, smile back with genuine confidence, and say, "Then perhaps you should sell it to them." The power of the Black Book is not in judgment, but in liberation. You are no longer a victim of unspoken agendas. You are the observer who sees the invisible strings. Use this power ethically. Use it to protect your family from deceit, your business from fraud, and your mind from manipulation. The body never lies. It is the most honest thing in the room. You just have to be brave enough to believe what you see.